Is it important to read scripture in the language in which it was originally written, or will reading a translation give you the same benefit? Well, I think the meaning is much more important than the words. But sometimes a bad translation can distort the meaning of those words. A very good example is Fitzgerald's translation of Omar Khayyam. And it's amazing to me that Yogananda was able to penetrate that thick veil of worldly interpretation, because Fitzgerald believed that Omar Khayyam had written that as a love poem. But Yogananda he saw veils falling, and he understood the deep spiritual meaning of that book. It's a scripture. The rubaiyat means quatrains of Omar Khayyam they have deep, deep meaning. And Yogananda had to go beneath that meaning. I remember in Sydney, Australia, I was talking to the Theosophical Lodge there. And somebody raised his hand and he said, well, in this particular quatrain, what Yogananda gave as the explanation for this quatrain doesn't seem to fit the meaning of Fitzgerald. And I said, well, I did find that several times in editing his work. But then I found that, yes, there was a correspondence. But the interesting thing was that at that moment, a lady in the crowd raised her hand. She said, I'm from Iran, and I can read the original Persian. And she said that what Omar Khayyam actually wrote, as opposed to this particular passage with which I am familiar in Fitzgerald, he said what Yogananda commented on was Omar Khayyam, not Fitzgerald. He knew the true meaning behind it. So with the Bhagavad Gita, there are many translations of the Gita, and most of them are deadly dull. And what Yogananda gave, and I do highly recommend that book, Essence of the Bhagavad Gita, and also we have a little booklet of it with just the translations. And these are very poetic, and yet they have the true and deep meaning. You see, so much of it depends on the translator, and he often doesn't get the understanding that was implied because of his own lack of realization. But I would say that balancing that against the fact that, yes, the original would have that true meaning, those meanings often change. The Jagadguru Shankaracharya of Govardhan Math, Swami Bharati Krishna Tirth, told me that many of the old meanings in the Vedas and the old Sanskrit meanings have a very different meaning from what they have nowadays in people's present understanding of language. He said language evolves. And he said, for example, take the word knave, Knave, which comes from the German Knabe. In German, it meant boy, but in the English, knave means bad boy. So words change their meaning. And Sri Aurobindo pointed out many amazing similarities or differences, I should say. For instance, when they speak of go in Sanskrit, in the Vedas, they mean light. But now go means cow. And it meant cow then too, but light was the deeper meaning. And so with many such words, these friends of mine who were followers of Aurobindo got a letter which the postman was very puzzled by. It said cows of light, and then their name. But this was Aurobindo's meaning. So I would say that the best thing would be to get a translation by a man of wisdom and a man who understood. Yogananda said, I tuned in with Vedavyasa, the author of the Gita, and what I've written is his meaning and what he wanted. So when we take his words, those are a much more reliable expression of those words than either most translations or than ordinary people's understanding of the original.